Title: Someone Rang the Doorbell. I got up and opened it. A young, beautiful woman stood there, about 20 years old, looking just like my wife did years ago. She smiled and said, "Nice to meet you, Dad." My heart pounded. My wife had always told me she lost our baby 20 years ago while I was deployed. Start: Someone rang the doorbell at 8:37 p.m. Sharp, polite, deliberate. Not the kind of ring that belonged to a neighbor or a salesman. I'd been sitting in my chair by the window, bourbon in hand, halfway through convincing myself that peace was something I could still afford. When I opened the door, she stood there, young, beautiful, maybe 20. Her hair, dark brown with a copper sheen, caught the porch light exactly the way my wife's used to. She smiled, calm but unsure. "Nice to meet you, Dad." The word "Dad" hit me like a round through Kevlar, slow, hot, impossible to ignore. My wife, Claire, had told me 20 years ago that we'd lost the baby. I was deployed overseas. The message came through a Red Cross telegram. "Complications," she said. "No survivors." I'd buried the idea of fatherhood the same way I buried friends, deep, with silence. Now here stood proof that grief had been just another lie. I let her in. Habit. My hand gestured before my mind caught up. She walked in like she'd been here before, eyes drifting to the photo on the mantel, me and Claire on our wedding day. Her gaze hardened. "My name's Emma," she said. "Mom said you'd never want to see me, that you chose your job over us. But I found the truth." Her voice trembled, but her eyes didn't. That's when I knew this wasn't a scam or a prank. This was real. She handed me an old envelope, faded, yellowed, my name written in Claire's handwriting. I opened it carefully. Inside, discharge papers, paternity documents, and a birth certificate with my name on it. And then, photos. Claire, pregnant, smiling beside a man I didn't recognize. Same house, same dates. She told me he was my father, Emma said quietly, but he's not. He died last year. And when I found these in his things, I realized he wasn't even supposed to exist in my life. I felt something cold settle in my chest. Not rage, not yet. Something older, deeper. The sound of betrayal crystallizing into purpose. That night, after she left, I sat at my desk, the same one I'd used to plan operations in darker times. Old instincts resurfaced easily. Claire was still alive, still here, running a charity foundation downtown according to her public profile. Pictures of her smiling beside donors and city officials. She looked well-fed on guiltless years. She'd told the world she'd lost everything, built an empire on sympathy. All the while, she'd stolen my child and replaced me with someone else. The next day, I started digging. Military training had its uses: surveillance, data recovery, patience. I learned her foundation wasn't clean. Money laundering through fake outreach programs, hidden assets, offshore transfers. The man in the photos, the one she called Emma's father, was her accountant, her accomplice. When he died, she inherited everything. Of course she did. It took me weeks to piece it all together, longer to decide how to end it. I didn't want a gun. I wanted silence. Ruin delivered through precision, not blood. So I began. First, I gained Emma's trust. Not through lies, through truth. I showed her everything: the documents, the fake accounts, the old letters Claire sent me during deployment. She read them, her hands shaking. She told me, "You left her," she whispered. She told me, "I lost you," I replied. That was the moment she chose sides. We met in secret. She had access: passwords, staff schedules, the foundation's digital files. Together, we built a map. Every account, every wire transfer, every falsified report. I contacted an old friend from the bureau. Quiet man, owed me favors. He didn't ask why. Weeks turned to months. My nights were long, quiet, methodical. I'd watch Claire's interviews online, her polished smile, her practiced compassion. And I'd count the days until the curtain fell. The gala was the perfect stage. 20 years since the foundation's inception. She'd be surrounded by cameras, officials, donors, her kingdom assembled. I walked in wearing a black suit, uninvited but unnoticed. Emma was already inside, disguised as an event assistant. At exactly 9 p.m., Claire stepped up to the podium. Applause, flashing lights. My heart was steady, calm as a sniper's breath. Then came the first cue. Emma uploaded the files to the live stream. The charity's internal records, offshore transactions, falsified reports. Screens around the hall flickered, one by one, replacing her smiling face with numbers, signatures, wire receipts. Confusion first, then horror. Claire froze mid-sentence. Her voice faltered as whispers turned into a roar. Someone screamed. Security rushed forward, but my friend from the bureau had already arrived with a warrant in hand. Emma stood at the edge of the stage, expression unreadable. Their eyes met, mother and daughter, just as the agents took Claire's wrists. "I didn't want this for you," Claire pleaded. Emma's reply was quiet, almost tender. "Neither did I." The news ran for weeks. Fraud, embezzlement, perjury. Everything she'd built crumbled overnight. They called it a stunning fall from grace. I didn't speak publicly, didn't need to. The truth had already spoken. Claire wrote me once from prison. Said she did it because she was scared. Scared I'd never come back from war. Scared of raising a child alone. Scared of losing control. Fear, she said, made her lie. Control, I thought, made her dangerous. I burned the letter without reading the rest. Emma lives nearby now. She visits sometimes, brings coffee, stories, silence. She has my eyes, sharp, restless, observant. The kind of eyes that don't forgive easily. We don't talk about revenge. We don't have to. It's in the way she walks lighter now, unburdened. It's in the way I sleep without reaching for ghosts. People say closure comes with forgiveness. Maybe they're right. Maybe it does. But I've learned something simpler, something colder. Closure isn't peace. It's precision. And sometimes the cleanest justice comes not from rage, but from the steady hand of someone who waited 20 years to ring the doorbell.